I want to wish everyone a happy new year in 2025 and welcome you to today's session on Generative Entrepreneur. It's a podcast for our founders, executives, and developers to launch their generative AI applications to market and accelerate them production at scale. Today's podcast is on our Generative AI Forecast in 2025. Hello, my name is Jason Virtue, and I'm a Principal Partner Solution Architect at Microsoft. I work within the GPS Americas organization. As we start the new year, I plan to focus on the state of the AI market 2 years after the launch of GPT on November 2022. The pace of innovation for the past 2 years for generative AI models has been extraordinary. In the last month, we have continued to see significant advancements in these frontier models from Microsoft with Phi-4, OpenAI with O3 Preview, or Google with Gemini 2.0. These models are expanding the capabilities into new areas like reasoning. With all innovation, I anticipate in 2025 we'll see a deceleration in the pace of innovation for the next generation frontier models and a shift towards process improvement in terms of best practices, design patterns, AI use cases when building these generative AI applications. A common response I've heard from the community is a concern for the deceleration in the AI market. I want to reassure you the collapse of the AI market is not on the horizon, and we are not going to see the next AI winter. The market is quite healthy and has been growing since 2012 with the launch of AlexNet and the ecosystem of models, tools, applications, and end users will continue to grow in the future and has been growing over the past number of years. Moreover, the pace of innovation will transition from the development of foundation models to generative AI applications. This innovation curve is expanding and will give us time to drive more engagements from science projects to production deployments. This will be the focus of today's talk. Over the holidays, I had free time and used that time to catch up on the latest research and press articles on the state of the AI market and are the sources of today's talk. I'll share the full list of those sources with you in the comments below, but I wanted to highlight two of them and share with you some of the sources I leveraged in the insights that I have for this podcast. One was done by the New York Times during a summit that they called the Deal Book Summit, where Andrew Sorkin interviewed Sam Altman on the future of AI and also Sundar Pichai on what's next for Google. These two talks I highly recommend for you to watch. Great, quick overviews that hopefully will give you insights on what's ahead for us in 2025. In the new year, here are the areas of improvement we can address before the next wave of innovation is upon us. These recommendations are based on my field experience as an applied AI engineer and the discussions I've had with my clients. I hope these resonate outside of my work circle and would love to hear your feedback in the comments. These four areas are the generative AI ecosystem, AI monetization, trustworthy AI, and GenAIOps. Each one of these areas are common blockers that we see that prevent our science projects from becoming production applications. And we would love to share these with you so that we can help you overcome them in the future. In today's session, we'll go over each one of these blockers briefly. We want to give you an ability to assess your capabilities of your enterprise. And in future sessions, we'll go into a deep dive discussion on each one of those individually so that you can improve your readiness in each one of those areas. So first, let's talk about the ecosystem as it relates to generative AI applications. Most organizations look at the top of the pyramid and the bright shiny object, the generative AI application, looking at the chatbot, not realizing that there's much more technology than the chatbot. What they need to focus on is there's many other layers in that technology stack that builds the foundation for the generative AI applications. Things such as the data state, the infrastructure, security, DevOps, and the application platform. The technology is going to be really critical to focus on data quality, enterprise data, infrastructure that can scale both for inference and fine tuning, looking at security to address any data leaks that might be out there, and having a DevOps lifecycle that's agile, that allows us to always continuously update the application as it grows and evolves. These are going to be the things that we need to focus on, along with bringing in the right set of developers. Now, in a future blog, I will share the GPS America AI solution journey for you to conduct a gap analysis and learn those skills required. In the meantime, I'll share with you in the comments below a questionnaire from MS Learn called Generative AI Operations Maturity. This will help you assess your organization's readiness. A second common blocker to production is the monetization story. After building out the technology stack, they have a very good idea about the cost structure. Most organizations could do some type of cost plus model where they just add margin to the overall cost structure to materialize the ROI that they're looking for. But most product managers I work ask that canonical question: what are the best new features and how much are you willing to pay for them when they talk with their customers? The answers they get sometimes are surprising and makes this monetization story a challenge. As rising use cases like agents materialize, we'll be able to monetize across a full spectrum and hopefully minimize this blocker in the future. There are 5 key areas that we can look at when we talk about monetization. Those are freemium, embedded, subscriptions, consumption, and outcome-based models. I cover these in a much more in-depth analysis in a previous episode, which I would highly recommend for you to watch, and that's called Generative AI. A third blocker is Trustworthy AI. Founders and executives are assessing the risk versus reward trade-offs to justify a launch. These applications are not getting blocked by the typical change management issues. Generative AI brings a much larger risk than just technology adoption. We need to focus on minimizing harm, over reliance on AI, securing our application, and ensuring privacies. These are the key components of a trustworthy AI framework that we need to leverage. And we had covered these in a previous episode on Generative Entrepreneur called Guardrails for Generative AI Applications. I highly recommend to have you listen to this session, since I had a special guest, Wayne Smith, go into a lot of great detail on this topic. The last blocker is generative AI operations. Generative AI operations is critical to a successful production deployment. One of the core things we need to realize is that GenAI operations is unique and has a different methodology to other machine learning methodologies such as MLOps or application development lifecycles such as DevOps. A workbench of tools and processes need to be set up to assess and monitor these generative AI applications' performance. Model selection, evaluation, prompt engineering, fine-tuning, and RAG technologies require us to run a set of scenarios and determine which one is the most optimal based on this application, end user, and data assets. This is different than your MLOps workflows, and data scientists need to become familiar with this to be successful in their deployments. This screenshot is a blog that is being developed by Microsoft that goes through the original announcement that happened back in September and the ongoing articles that support the different components of these. This will be my next session that I'll be presenting. And so if you hold on shortly, there will be a blog on this topic by me, and we'll go into depth on this topic. In summary, I'll be sharing with you some learning resources in the comments of this podcast so you can learn more about this material as you go forward in 2025. What I like to conclude on is a scientific research report that should give us a lot of hope and, more importantly, evidence on the productivity gains that we can see from our generative AI applications. There was an article titled, "Will AI Hurt or Help Workers?" from the Wall Street Journal and they summarized a research report that you can see on my screen here. And that research report was titled Artificial Intelligence, Scientific Discovery, and Product Innovation by Aidan Toner Rogers on November 2024. This study conducted a randomized trial comparing generative AI tools with a control group to assess productivity. The study focused on material science researchers who designed optimal chemical compounds for various cooking products. These researchers utilized a fine-tuned LLM model to recommend the best compounds for different cookware based on the generative AI recommendations. The study yielded these three findings. One, they saw product prototypes increase by 17%, resulting in productivity gains. Two, a job satisfaction decrease of around 80%, and a skills gap in the researchers in how much productivity gains that they realized by using the generative AI application. Why this is a hopeful study is now, with scientific research, we are actually showing the productivity gains that we can realize with these applications. There's still far more research that we need to do across various work domains and industries to see if this is consistent across all of them. Also, it'd be interesting in those studies if we see a similar decrease in job satisfaction, since we were expecting people being, more productive would have more time for other things and less time for more of the everyday mundane things. If these tasks that are being done by generative AI are the more rewarding tasks for individuals, it'd be important to understand that through future research. And lastly, us as generative AI developers, we need to be early adopters. When we see the skill gap in the productivity gains across end users, we need to use these tools ourselves to have firsthand knowledge to understand how best to utilize them and share that with our user community so that they and everybody within that group are able to get the most benefit from those applications. So, with that conversation, I hopefully you enjoyed today's podcast. We'll be doing more here within the next few months, and we really look forward for you to return and, more importantly, enjoy these series. Take care and talk more, and please share your feedback below.